Good morning, everybody. We'll start. I hope so you have said your prayer at home. Okay. What we have learned last time is elements, compounds, and mixtures. Elements are having the same particles. That means they have particles in them which are common. We call them as atoms. Compounds have same type of atoms or either same type of or two types of elements or different types of elements. Two or more types of elements can be which are joined to each other or either they are combined to each other with the help of a chemical bond. And next is the mixture. Mixture are either elements or either compounds mixed together in any proportion. Okay, compounds are in fixed proportion, that is different types of elements or different types of atoms are mixed together or either combined together in a fixed proportion. And mixtures are the substance where they have the particles in them and these particles are not similar, they are not same. Okay, they can be the more than two or three elements or either the compounds. So all together we call it as mixture. Air is a mixture of different types of gases as well as water vapor. Okay, so we'll study further. Elements, you have studied what elements are. Elements are also of types, that is metals, non-metals, and metalloids. Okay, now we are going to study about the types of compounds. Okay, so understand here. Yes, ask who is that? Neil, ask your question. You could hear me? Or either type there your question, I will answer. Okay, afterwards you can ask. There are different types of compounds here, or either two types of compounds. Different types of compounds are seen around us, and all the substance around us, they are all compounds. Okay, you can see variety of substance around us. That is the plants, animals, birds, soil, sand, okay, cement, whatever it is. These are all the examples of compounds. Okay, so types of compounds are two, that is organic as well as inorganic. Organic compound and inorganic compound. Organic compounds are made up of carbon and inorganic compounds doesn't have carbon in them. Organic compounds, they decompose. That means they can be separated out into their pure constituent, and inorganic compounds cannot be separated easily by any decomposer method or either not by any bacteria or microorganism. So organic compounds examples are given here. These are the camphor, sugar, glucose, urea, diesel, petrol, kerosene. These organic compounds, these are organic compounds which have carbon in them. Can you see me clearly?
Yes, miss.
As well as inorganic compounds which cannot be decomposed. Either they don't have carbon in them, that is salt, soda, limestone, blue vitriol. Blue vitriol is copper sulfate. One inorganic compound is there, that is carbon dioxide. It has carbon in it, but it is inorganic. It cannot be decomposed by any microorganism. Okay, it cannot be decomposed easily. So we call this carbon dioxide is inorganic compound. So don't say that inorganic, like carbon is present here, so it becomes organic. So two types of compounds we have, that is organic and inorganic. Got that? So you have to write down what organic compounds are and what inorganic compounds are. That is today's homework. So further we'll study organic and inorganic. That is, on even though these compounds are there, they are bounded together chemically. That if we call about a salt, that what is that salt means NaCl. Here what is happening in between them? One is giving the electron and the other one is taking the electron. So they are bonded with each other chemically, sodium and chlorine. Now when they are bonded together chemically, so or either we can call it as a chemical bond. Okay, this bond cannot be broken down easily by any method, any physical method, or by any enzymes or by any microorganisms. Okay, so inorganic compounds cannot be decomposed easily, and organic compounds can be decomposed by the decomposers. Okay, so here you have to study. There are some complex compounds also. Complex compounds means there are many substances in them, many elements present in them, but they are in fixed proportion. If you take the example of chlorophyll, if you take the example of vitamins or hemoglobin, here they have given examples here. So these are the complex compounds where many elements are present in them or many atoms are present in them. Okay, so these are the types of compounds what you have studied. No need to study in detail. Detailed studies are there in 9th and 10th standard. So understand first what compounds are, elements are, compounds are, and the mixtures. Now we'll go further, that is the mixtures. Mixtures are the substance in which either more than two elements or either more than two compounds or elements are also there, compounds are also there, all mixed together to form a mixture. For example, you must have had bhel puri, isn't it? In that bhel, no, mixture of that puffed rice or that gram or shave, many things are there. And each one, when you eat it, each one retains their own taste. They are not mixed with each other. No, puffed rice will not taste like the shave or either the onion in that. So these are called as mixtures where you can separate them easily, as well as you can, whenever you eat it or consume it, they do not change their property. They can retain their property when they are there in the mixture form. For example, air. Air is a mixture, but you can separate out carbon dioxide as well as oxygen. Your body can take only oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. From the air, we can separate out these components easily. So in the air, we have compounds also. In the air, we have mixture also, or either in the air we have elements also. So all these together we call it as mixtures, and in mixtures every constituent or every component retain its own property. Okay, it shows its property, it do not change the property. Now changing the property means I'll explain you. I'll take the example of a compound that is water, H2O. Okay, water is a compound. It is a compound of hydrogen and oxygen. Two hydrogen molecules, atoms are there, and oxygen, one atom. If we talk about the property of hydrogen, what is the property of hydrogen? Hydrogen is in gaseous state, and hydrogen is combustible. That means this gas burns. Hydrogen is a combustible gas, and oxygen helps for combustion. You must have done an experiment, in your primary, inverting a glass over a burning candle. Okay, after some time the candle extinguished. That means the candle or either the fire on the candle requires oxygen, and when the oxygen is over, that candle extinguishes, isn't it? So burning, burning thing, whatever we burn around or either whatever combustion takes place around, that requires oxygen. So without oxygen, burning process will not take place, as well as hydrogen is itself a combustible gas. If you mix both these, mixing means if the compound is formed of hydrogen and oxygen, when the compound is formed of hydrogen and oxygen, what we get? We get H2O, that is water. Now tell the property of water, whether water burns, whether water supports burning, it is not. Okay, that means when compound is formed, they change their property. When the compound of two substances formed, they change the property, and here the property is completely opposite of these two. Water puts off the fire, correct? No? When if hydrogen is separate and oxygen is separate, what is the property of hydrogen? It is combustible, and property of oxygen is it supports combustion. Okay, but when they are in the compound form, they put off the fire. That means the property changes of the element when they are in compound. We will take one more example. Sodium chloride. Sodium chloride is our usual salt, and without this, we'll never think of our life for food. No, everywhere we require salt in our food. If it is less or more, no, we keep on telling it is not tolerated if it is less or either it is more. So it gives the taste to the life or taste to the food. Okay, so if we separate out this compound, sodium and chlorine, when they are in their element form, what will be their property? Sodium is very soft element like the butter. No, when you cut a butter, the butter can be cut with the help of the blunt knife, isn't it? Like that the sodium is. It is very reactive in the nature, so it cannot be kept just on the table. It catches fire. So it is kept in the kerosene. Okay, so that much reactive it is. Now think this sodium is placed on your hand, it will burn. That sodium will start burning, it will catch the fire. That means it reacts with water which is present in the atmosphere, or either it reacts easily with the oxygen which is present in the atmosphere. So sodium is more reactive, as well as it causes burning sensation. Chlorine gas, when you inhale, you will faint. That means it attacks the nervous system of human being or either any of the living things in the surrounding. Chlorine is present in bleaching powder. You must have smelled that chlorine gas, experience the smell of the chlorine gas because of the bleaching powder. Okay, when you put a bleaching powder, or either when your mother has put bleaching powder in the toilets or outside somewhere, so whatever smell comes out from that bleaching powder, that is the chlorine gas. This chlorine gas is used for anesthesia. Anesthesia means for making the patient, whenever there is a surgery and the patient has to go into a deep sleep, we call it as unconsciousness. Okay, so that patient has to be given anesthesia, that is the chlorine. Okay, that chlorine is in the compound form given into the blood which attacks the nervous system, and then we could go deep into sleep. Okay, kidnappers also, they put the drops of chlorine on the handkerchief and then kidnap any person. They put the handkerchief on the nose and can kidnap. So that much is the strong. Both these elements are very, very harmful. But when they are in the compound form, what we cannot think our life without them. When they are in a compound form, that means when they turn into NaCl, what happens here? Sodium plus chlorine will not think of life without this NaCl. It becomes a very, very useful substance for us. Okay, but if we separate them, they become harmful. So this is the property of the compound. Each constituent of the compound do not retain their property. Okay, they mix with each other or combine with each other, and they change their property completely. Okay, so that is the compounds, and this they are bounded together with the help of a chemical bond. We call it as a chemical bond. Okay, so remember all these words. We are going to study about the types of mixtures. Before that, there are some of the things to be understood, that is phase. Phases. Okay, suppose there is a heap of stones here. Heap of stones are there, or either a glass of water. Okay, or either a glass of water mixed with sugar plus water, that is sugar solution. In these three things, one is the heap of stone, the another one is only the water, and the other one is sugar solution. We cannot make out different layers in it. Okay, layers are there formed, but these layers are of same type. Okay, so we call it as a single phase. Single phase means here layers, even though layers are there, these are of same type, or either everything is common. Okay, so that is called a single phase. Here also a plain water, everything is common inside, or either nothing is added here, everything looks uniform. Okay, so we call it as single phase. Sugar plus water, even though sugar is there inside, sugar and water, but when sugar dissolves in water, whatever could be seen inside, everything is uniform. Okay, there doesn't form two layers or three layers inside the water. But when you mix soil in that water, when we mix soil in the water, what will happen? After some time, the soil will settle down and water will rise up, as well as some lighter particles are there, they will still float on the water. So you will find there are two phases in the water. One is solid and the other one is liquid. Okay, so these phases we call it as, sometimes there will be three phases. Okay, so these three layers will be there. There is a pink color box in your textbook. You can read that box and understand what the phases are: single phase and single phase, as well as two phase. Okay, so there is one table here that you have to complete here about the phases, materials taken and the phases seen in that material. After stirring that material, again you could see some of the particles inside. Some of the particles are there. If you pour water in that, still these particles will not settle, also they will not float, but they will remain inside the water, floating inside in between the water. Okay, so that can be also two phases seen inside the mixture. Okay, now we'll study about the types of mixture. There are two types of mixtures. One is homogeneous and the other one is heterogeneous. So homogeneous mixture, two types of mixtures are there, that is homogeneous mixture and heterogeneous mixture. Homogeneous mixture, salt, water, salt plus water, sugar plus water, glucose plus water. Okay, that is Glucon-D powder plus water. So these mixtures are there, they are called as homogeneous mixture, where water or either the substance completely dissolves in another substance, and then you cannot make the phases in that. It becomes single phase. So everything becomes uniform. So that type of substances are called as homogeneous mixtures. Why we call them as mixture? Because again we can separate down easily, either with the help of evaporation, with the help of either filtration. Okay, so these homogeneous substances are the substances where all the phases inside everything is uniform. For example, salt plus water, sugar plus water, glucose plus water. Okay, as well as you can find out like that many examples here of homogeneous mixture. Next is the heterogeneous mixture. Heterogeneous mixture means the substances do not dissolve in each other or either do not mix with each other. Either they are found floating or either they will be mixed there. You will find particles in the water or either they will settle in the water. Okay, so these type of substances we call it as heterogeneous mixture where nothing is uniform. They are not mixed completely with each other and uniformity is not formed. So these type of mixtures, we call them as either homogeneous or heterogeneous. There is one more type you have to study, that is the solution. Okay, solution, when we talk about a solution, no, I have asked you that salt solution. When I have told you salt solution, when I was talking about sugar solution, what do you mean by that word? Salt solution, sugar solution. What do you mean by this word solution? There are two things in them or two substances in them. One is the salt and the other one is the water. If I am talking about salt solution, one is the salt, water. If I am talking about sugar solution, the one is the sugar and water. Correct? Here is the salt plus water, and here is sugar plus water. Water is common in both. But what happens here? These two substances are there, salt and sugar. Salt is in very small quantity in that large amount of water. Sugar is also in small quantity in glass full of water. Okay, so we call these substances as solute and water we call it as solvent. In solution, we have two things, that is solute and solvent. So whatever is in small quantity in the solution, we call it as solute. And whatever is in big quantity in the solution or large quantity in the solution, we call it as solvent. So solute means your solute is salt or either the sugar and your solvent is the water. So solvent can change. Okay, it can be kerosene, it can be diesel, so all those things. So solvent is big in number or large in number and solute is small in number. So understand solution means the mixture of solute and solvent. Okay. So solute can be anything here and solvent can be either water or either the kerosene, because some of the substance doesn't dissolve in water but they dissolve in kerosene, petrol, diesel. Okay. So solutions are either two types. We can say that they are solutions are homogeneous mixtures. All the solutions are homogeneous mixture. That means they are mixed with each other uniformly. So solution can be liquid in liquid. Liquid can be mixed in liquid. Gas in gas. See your air. Air is a homogeneous mixture. It is a mixture, but it is homogeneous. It is mixed with each other uniformly. So that is the example of gas in gas and gas in liquid. There is an example here, water, chlorinated water or either carbonated water. You know, you must have opened the bottle of Pepsi or Thumbs Up. So there one gas gushes out from it. That gas is carbon dioxide gas. So that is an example of gas in liquid. Okay, so that is a mixture. Gas in gas, we have air. Many gases are mixed in that uniformly. That is also a solution. Liquid in liquid. What you can give the example? Vinegar. If you add vinegar in water, so that is the liquid in liquid. Lime juice in water. Solid in liquid. That is this example. Salt and water, solid in liquid. So these are the types of solutions where you can mix solid and solid, you can mix liquid and liquid, gas and gas, liquid and solid. Okay, now solid and solid. Give me one example of solid in solid. Some alloys are there. You know, steel. Steel is an alloy of carbon, nickel, and chromium. This steel, you cannot see now, you cannot separate out carbon from here, you cannot see carbon anywhere there. That means it is a uniform mixture. So it is a homogeneous mixture. Okay, homogeneous means every particle in that, even though they are of different substances or different molecules or atoms, they are uniformly mixed with each other. Okay, so next is the suspension and colloidal. Here I have one practical for you. I've taken some of the things here down that I'll show you and will pass a light through it. Right. Okay, I have taken this here. Are you familiar with this? Is a revive, that is a starch. You can take starch of your, what is that, rice paste or either sabudana paste. You can get the starch out from that. This is a starch which I have taken now. I have salt here. I'll take it in this, as well as I have soil here. Soil is taken in that. Now I'll pour water in all this. Okay, now you could see here, this is a starch solution or a starch, what is that, starch solution only. In that solution, if you take it close to the light, you will find close to the light, you will find there are tiny particles which are there inside the water, which is floating. Okay, they are floating inside. This type you could get in milk also, as well as in your rice paste or either in the sabudana paste. Okay, so here if you pass a light, okay, afterwards, this is the pure solution, that is salt and water. Salt is completely dissolved, some particles are left. Okay, and this is the soil and water. You could see soil will settle down after some time. Now we are going to pass light through it. Just see, we'll pass light through it and you will find what happens. This is the salt solution. I'll pass light. Light travels from it to the other side. You could see light is traveling to the other side of the solution. Okay. Next we will see here, this is the starch solution. When I put the light inside, we'll find it itself glows. See, the substance is becoming red. It itself glows and light doesn't come out here. Okay, that means it spreads the light. Its particles which are there, they scatter this light. Okay, so this type of solution we call it as colloidal. They are called as colloidal solution. Hope you are understanding. You can do it at home also. See, the solution is becoming red. Now if I remove out, it is white. And when I put the light, you could see the particles inside, they are able to scatter the light. Okay, the light is not traveling the other side of the solution. The next is the suspension. This substance, soil and water, we call it as suspension. Here also, some part of the light will travel the other side, but you will find the light is traveling inside but not coming outside. Okay, it could reflect. You could see the light, passage of light traveling inside the substance. Okay, one ray of light. So this is suspension. It is giving the light to travel but not coming out completely. Okay, next is this substance is giving the light to travel, and this light can come out from the substance. It becomes transparent. And this substance we call it as translucent. You could see the light, effect of light. Okay. There what happens in this, the light particles are scattering the light. They are not allowing the light to go the other side. Okay, so these are, so this substance we call it as colloidal. That means particles will not settle down also. They will not float. They will remain inside, uniformly mixed with the water, but they will get separate out from the water. Okay, these are colloidal. This is your homogeneous mixture. Okay, this also is homogeneous. This is your pure solution. And this is suspension. We call it as suspension. Okay, so three types of substances: homogeneous mixture, heterogeneous mixture you have studied. One is inhomogeneous, there is solution. And then suspension and colloidal, they are heterogeneous mixtures. This is colloidal solution, and this is suspension. These are heterogeneous mixtures. Please understand this, as well as you can try it at home. Colloidal, if you don't have starch, you can take the paste of rice, or either you can take the paste of sabudana, or either you can take the milk. No problem. You can take milk also. Add 1 spoon of milk in water and then see it to the light. You will find some particles. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Yes, miss.
Yes,
Yes.
Yes, miss.
Yes,
Yes, miss.
understand what is going on? Last part is left, molecular formula and
I
balancing.
have one question. Yes.
We will proceed, Only last part is left now, molecular formula and the
Miss, I have one question.
yes.
Miss, starch solution which absorbs light.
What?
Miss, starch solution absorbs light.
No, it will not absorb. This is not absorption. It doesn't absorb, but it doesn't allow the light to pass. It scatters the light. Absorbing means you will not able to see the light. Are you getting me? See, when there is a fog and when you are traveling, your vehicle's headlight, whatever that is, it scatters there itself. It will not travel far because of the foggy atmosphere. Okay, so that is scattering. Don't call it as.
Can we use it anywhere?
Huh?
Can we use it anywhere?
Use it? Yes.
Anywhere.
Therefore, atmosphere becomes foggy, that means that substance has been settled. Now that fog is a collide. It is collide. That is colliding. Particles are bigger. Particles are bigger in this than that of the water. Okay. So molecules are bigger of this collider. Starch molecules are bigger than that of the molecules of water. Okay. Here molecules of soil is more bigger. They are more heavy than that of the water. So they settle down. So we call it as suspension. And here this becomes same. Water could enter the bond of that substance of sodium and chlorine. Okay. So this is the pure solution. Even though it is mixture, this is colloidal and this is suspension. The three types of substances you have studied now. Any doubt? I hope so everything is clear. We'll start the molecular formula and valency. First we'll study valency. Don't write anything in the chat for your friends. Don't chat with your friends. They have not come here or attend the class to listen to your chats or your. You can call each other personally and talk with each other, okay? Call each other personally and talk. Or either you can leave this meet. If you are feeling bored, you can leave and sit at home nicely, without studying anything. So please don't chat so that your friends could are attracted towards your chatting box. And here, just I am taking the trouble leaving all my work at home. So here, valency, we are talking about the valency now. Sodium and chlorine. I think last chapter you have studied about the atoms and molecules or the outermost orbit. Okay, so sodium is having Z number. Atomic number of sodium is 11 and atomic number of chlorine is 17. Okay, distribution of electrons in them. First orbit 2, 8 and 1. Here distribution of electrons in them is 2, 8 and 7. Okay, I hope so you know all these things. Okay, atom is there and there are orbits around it. So sodium is having 3 orbits, 2 electrons here, 8 electrons, 6, 7, 8, and 1 electron in the outermost orbit. It is having 11 protons. Okay, now outermost orbit is incomplete because it requires either 18 electrons or either 8 electrons. So here nobody as such will give this many electrons to sodium. That means it wants 7 electrons to complete its outermost orbit. And this wants 1 electron to complete its outermost orbit. So what, when these two are together, sodium will give 1 electron to chlorine and chlorine's outermost orbit will be complete and sodium's outermost orbit also will be complete. We'll see now sodium's this orbit will go and it is having 8 electrons inside. This relation between them, that is give and take relation, they form a bond in between to form a compound called as sodium chloride, NaCl. Got that? Now what is valency here? We are talking about valency. Valency of sodium, even though it requires 7 electrons, but it requires to give 1 electron. So we say that valency of sodium is 1. Okay, valency of sodium is 1 and valency of chlorine is also 1. Okay, because chlorine requires 1 electron and sodium requires to give 1 electron. So their valency is 1 and 1. We don't say the number of electrons in the last orbit. We say how many electrons they require to give or they require to take. That measurement or that calculation we call it as valency. Okay, so when sodium is giving 1 electron to chlorine and chlorine is accepting 1 electron, so valency of chlorine is 1 and valency of sodium is 1. So how to write the formula? See again refer here. Z number of sodium is 11 and Z number of chlorine is 17. 2, 8, 1 and 2, 8, 7. Valency is 1 and chlorine's valency is 1. So they are going to form NaCl. To mix with each other, they want 1 sodium and 1 chlorine. Okay, so that is called as valency. The number of electrons, whether they are giving or accepting. So how many electrons they have to give or how many electrons they have to receive to form a compound. So that is called as valency. Okay, here you see they have given carbon and oxygen. We'll take the example of carbon and oxygen. Carbon and oxygen. Carbon Z number is 6 and oxygen Z number is 8. Okay. Now, electronic configuration. Distribute the number of electrons in them. 2 and 4. Correct? And here 2 and 6. How many electrons carbon require to give or either to take? 4 electrons. How many electrons oxygen required? Here 6. Actually, it should be 8, correct? No? So, if it is 8, oxygen will be complete. So, here they require 2 electrons. Oxygen requires 2 electrons to complete its last orbit. And carbon requires 4 electrons to complete its last orbit. So, now,
Yes,
who will give? See here, if carbon is 1 and oxygen is 1. Oxygen is saying, I will give you 2 electrons. This oxygen will give this carbon 2 electrons. But carbon wants 4 electrons. So what it will do? This oxygen is having only 2 electrons to give to carbon. One oxygen atom is giving 2 electrons to carbon. This oxygen will call its friend like him and will tell carbon is accepting electron. You also come to accept, to give the electron. So another carbon atom will come to give, another oxygen atom will come to give the carbon 2 electron. Now see, carbon has got how many electrons? 4 electron, no? 2 from one oxygen and 2 electron from another oxygen. You could see. So carbon has become CO2. Carbon 1 and oxygen 2. Why 2 oxygen? One atom is giving 2 electrons and another atom is giving another 2 electrons. So the formula becomes CO2. 1 carbon and 2 oxygen. You could see here. C2O4 will not come. It will O2. Okay, so this way you have to learn about the formula. They have given many here. Sodium HCl, hydrogen and chlorine. So these three formulas are formed. You cannot change them because their proportion is fixed to mix with each other. Okay, we'll take one example of hydrogen and chlorine. Hydrogen having number of electron 1. 17. Correct? It is having only one orbit. And chlorine is having how many? 2, 8, and 7. Hydrogen is having only one electron. It will not able to give the electron because it is having only one electron, not any other. Chlorine wants one electron and it cannot give its one electron because it wants only one electron. So what they will do? Hydrogen will share the electron with chlorine. So this valency is 1. Hydrogen's valency is also 1. Hydrogen wants one electron to complete. Chlorine wants one electron to complete its outermost orbit. So see here, hydrogen will react with one chlorine and chlorine will react with one hydrogen to form HCl, hydrogen chloride. Okay, so that is the formula of hydrogen chloride or hydrochloric acid. So please refer these, and if you haven't understood, please ask just now, or either you can message me or call me directly. But you can call in, no, not in the evening. I'll give you one more example of this. Better you understand. Magnesium atomic number is 12. Mg and Cl. When magnesium and chlorine are there, and how they will react with each other, then how we have to write the formula of magnesium chloride. Okay, so it is not NaCl. We are writing Na and Cl, but magnesium chloride becomes different. Magnesium having the Z number 12 and chlorine having the Z number 11. Okay, so 12 means distribute the number of electron in the orbit 2, 8, and 2. Chlorine, sorry, it is 17. 2, 8, and 7. Now you see, magnesium is ready to give 2 electrons to complete its last orbit, but chlorine wants only 1 electron. Are you getting me? Magnesium can give 2 electrons. Its valency is 2. Chlorine's valency is 1. But they are together, but they want to form a compound. What they will do now? Magnesium is having 2 electrons so that it can give the 2 electrons to, but chlorine is there. Chlorine is saying that I want only 1 electron. And where that 1 electron magnesium will give? Chlorine, here magnesium is there. Magnesium is giving 1 electron to this chlorine. And 1 electron is again left with the magnesium. Magnesium will give to another chlorine atom. Make the formula. See the formula. Mg1Cl2. See MgCl2. See the formula how it becomes. Mg, that is 1 atom, and chlorine is 2 atoms. So our compound is formed magnesium chloride. Okay. Any doubt, please ask me. Put it in the chat box if you want, or either you can on your mic. Ask the doubt, please. See, today what you have studied is types of compounds, types of mixtures, their phases, single phase and double phase. Okay. You have studied about the solution, suspension, and colloid, homogeneous mixture and heterogeneous mixture, 2 types of mixtures, compounds, organic compound and inorganic compound. As well as in mixtures, you have studied about homogeneous mixtures, solution, and heterogeneous mixture, collide and suspension. So these are found in nature. Today try to observe it. Okay. You have studied about valency also, as well as forming the compounds also. So please start studying. Miss Kumud is taking the another lesson, and today read the lesson 2 or 3 times till you understand and make yourself understand this. Find out the answers of the exercise. And if you know the answers, you can write it down. These are easy ones here. Okay. Metals and metals, Miss Kumud is doing.
Miss.
I think so.
Yes, Miss.
Yes,
And I start with the pollution. You like this online class, or shall I send the video?
Online class.
Online class.
Miss.
Online class. Online class.
Pollution after this.
Nothing.
And start studying for your term exam. Your term exam is appearing 1st November. Okay, take care. Bye. Till we meet. We'll finish. Yes.
When will be meeting now?
We will finish the meet.
Yes, Miss.
Yes. Bye, Miss. Bye, Miss.
And do not write any messages
Bye,
here.
Miss.
Who were doing?
Bye, Miss.
Yes, bye.
Parker.
Who? Sagar?
Miss, tomorrow class is there.
No, not tomorrow. I'll announce day before. Huh? Monday I'll take rest.
Yes, Miss.
Okay, you start studying. Bye.
Okay, Miss.
Yes.
Okay, Miss.
Bye, Miss. Bye.
Bye, Miss.
Bye, Miss. Bye, Miss. Bye, Miss. Bye, Miss. Bye, Miss. Bye, Miss. Bye, Miss. Bye, Miss.